Fantasy football is back, guys. After the Euros in the summer, UEFA are now officially dropping that Champions League fantasy game for the upcoming season, and there is no way that we're gonna miss out on that. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how this game works. I'm gonna pick my team alongside you guys and show you why I pick certain players and why I leave out others. And at the end of the video, I will reveal our fantasy league for this year's UCL season, where you will be able to win cash prizes again. Let's go. First of all, let's quickly go over the rules again. UEFA Champions League Fantasy Football 2021-2022. So the whole game is very similar to Euro Fantasy. It's both UEFA, just a few differences. Of course, the Champions League has a few more match days than the Euros. We have the 6 group stage games, then the 2 round of 16, 2 quarterfinals, 2 semifinals, and the final, 13 in total. And the special thing compared to Fantasy Premier League here is that you can make substitutions in between the different days of one match day. So first of all, we pick our starting squad consisting of 15 players, 2 goalies, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 forwards. And for that, we get 100 million euros budget to start off the group stages. And once the knockout stages come, that increases to 105 million, just like the Euros. Here are the limits for number of players of one single club we can pick per round. That increases gradually. When we pick our team right now, we have a maximum of 3 players that we can pick from the same club. Again, the substitutions part. When a player in your starting 11 performs poorly, doesn't score a lot of points, you can sub him off for a player that is on your bench and is yet to play on the next day of one game week. And that is one big difference compared to the likes of Fantasy Premier League, which doesn't have that. So you really mustn't ignore your bench. It is really important. Just like in FPL though, you select a captain each match day whose points will be scored double. But here as well, you can also change captaincy of a player from the first day to a player on the second day if your first captain performed poorly. So very important, select a captain from a team that's playing on the first day of a match day so you can still change him later. As for the number of transfers, there is of course a limit that you can make per round. Before the group stages now, of course, we can make unlimited transfers as we're building our squad. During the group stages, that will be limited to 2 per match day. After the group stages, it says unlimited again. So before the knockout stages start, we can build a whole new squad yet again. Then during the knockout stages, it will always change between 3 and 5. Before each new round, for example, before the round of 16, before the quarters and so on, it will be 5 transfers. And in between the first and the second leg of one round, it will be 3. What is very important as well, unique to UEFA Fantasy game, is the chips. There is the wildcard and the limitless. Those were also in Euro Fantasy, but for those who don't know, the wildcard is a chip that you can use once throughout the whole competition, and that basically enables you to change up your whole team. For example, if you use that in the group stages where you usually only get 2 transfers per round, you use your wildcard, then you will be able to get yourself a whole new team, unlimited transfers. And then the second chip there is called limitless. You can also use that once. It is very similar to the wildcard, but this one also gives you unlimited budget. Forget about the 100 million limit. You can put any player you want in your team, even if that means it's worth 200 million. Not sure if that's even possible. Sounds a little bit too overpowered? Yes, that is because it's only applied for one match day. You use your limitless, and for that match day, you will have that super overpowered team. But after that, you will go back to your team that you had before using limitless. So whilst your wildcard team stays, limitless team is only for that one match day you use the chip. Then the most important thing is of course scoring points, because that's how you win the fantasy games. This is pretty much the exact same thing as for the Euros with 2 differences. First of all, every 3 balls recovered, your player gets a point. This did not exist in the Euros, and this makes defensive midfielders very valuable, and also defenders. And then also in the Champions League Fantasy Man of the Match awards count a lot, or how they call it right here, Player of the Match award. That gives your player an additional 3 points. Other than that, same as Euro Fantasy. If you don't know the point scoring rules, you can pause the video right here. If not, come with me, because we're now moving towards the most exciting part of the video, team selection. Here we are on the team builder. Pick your players. 100 million euros budget. First of all, formation change. 4-4-2 is here, set as the standard formation, the most picked. I'm gonna go with another one though, not 4-3-3 either, which is usually the standard mainstream formation. This time we're doing 3-4-3. I've made up my mind, and my players here that I'm gonna be picking fit exactly in this formation. Let's make it more exciting. We're starting off with a bench, and here one thing very important. The Champions League, at least the group stages, are always being played on 2 separate days, Tuesday and Wednesday. Half of the groups are playing on Wednesday, and the rest of the groups are playing one day earlier on Tuesday. And those are always the same. A to D are always playing on the same day, and E to H are also always playing on the same day. So there's basically 2 groups of teams, 16 here, 16 here, that are always playing together, at least in the group stages. On this bench, you always want to have players from those 16 teams that play on the Wednesday. Basic logic, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to sub them on later in case some of your Tuesday players from the starting 11 don't perform as well. And for match day 1, we have groups A to D playing on Wednesday. So this time all of my 4 bench players are gonna be from those 16 teams in these groups. Starting off with a goalie here, which will be a player from Porto. Let's see if we can find him. There he is, Agustin Marquezin. Sure, I'm pronouncing him correctly. Only selected by 2% of the players, so that is good. And he scored 42 points last season. He was massive last season. You remember, Porto went very far. And I think Porto still have a very, very sick defense. They do have a heavy group for sure. Group B is sick. But on that first game, Atletico, they're not renowned for scoring tons of goals. And overall, I could see Porto not finishing last here. I do rate them a lot, especially their defense. So for only 5 million, Marquezin goes on my bench. Next up on my bench is a defender. And this guy will be a bit more expensive. We can order by price as well here. I think he's among the most expensive defenders. Yes, he is. Rafael Guerreiro. Also had him in the Fantasy Euro game. I love this player. Also, he is only selected by 2%. Wow, I expected more, to be honest. 43 points last year. Cost 6 million. Not cheap for a defender. But look at the group. No disrespect to Besiktas, Sporting, Ajax. If everything goes by plan, then Dortmund should finish first in this group. And Besiktas, with all due respect, are probably the weakest side in this group. I can never miss Guerreiro in any fantasy game. I also have him in the Bundesliga fantasy game. Doing bits for me as well there. Guerreiro, safe in my team, safe. Now for the last two players on my bench, which is one defender and one midfielder, I had to save a little bit of money because my starting 11 is not that cheap. I'm going to show you the next defender here. On a side note, Cristiano is only 4.5 million and he now plays for Sheriff. Jokes aside, guys, we're now going to look for our defender here, Juan Bernat. Now, let me tell you a thing or two about this guy. Only 4.5 million. Why is that? Because he was injured all season. That's why he's so cheap. Otherwise, he would probably be 5.5 million. Now, though, he is on the verge of making his comeback and I hope that he will play the first game against Club Brugge. I know not many people have him, 0% to be precise, but I believe that he will come back soon enough. A fit Juan Bernat is not PSG's best player, but should start for PSG, and that's the good thing. So a little bit of speculation here from my side that Bernat will get fit in time. If not, yeah, he's on the bench, but I think he might do it. And then I've got a cheap player who will surely perform decent. The last bench player is a midfielder, and for this one, I also feel a little bit like I got a bargain. Bakayoko. Now, he is a Chelsea player here. Only 4.5 million as well. Why is that? Because he will not play at Chelsea. Obviously, he would not play because he just moved to Milan. And I'm simply taking advantage of that because at Milan he should start. And if he was already a Milan player here in this game, then he would be more expensive than 4.5 million. So Bakayoko is going in my team as well as in 3% of the other teams. The bench is set. We spent 20 million on these 4 players. 18 million are left. 11 players. Let me show you the most exciting part of my team, the starting 11, where I have a lot of underrated gems, I believe. Well, my goalie, to be quite honest with you, is a more mainstream pick. We can see it right here. Edouard Mendy, 23%. Chelsea's goalie is going in my team. He scored a massive 66 last season. Well, Chelsea won the Champions League. He got a lot of games, but generally, Chelsea's defense is just one of the best in the world. He kept 9 clean sheets in just one Champions League season. Yes, he cost 6 million. He's among the most expensive goalies in the game. Only Oblak is more expensive, but I'm gonna take it, even over Donnarumma and over Neuer, who are also 6 million. I just think Chelsea's defense under Tuchel is stronger than Bayern's and PSG's, and they also have the easiest group in my opinion. Zenit, Malmö, not powerhouses, and Juventus, let's be honest, they aren't great anymore either. So I do strongly expect Chelsea to top this group and keep a couple clean sheets on the way as well. So Edouard Mendy, our starting goalie. Let's move on to the 3-man defense. Let me start with a mainstream pick again, and after that we have 2 underrated defenders that basically no one has picked. My defender number 1 is no less than Joshua Kimmich, among the 3 most expensive defenders alongside Trent and Hakimi, picked by 30% of the players. And I have to say it was a really tough choice for me between these 3. I definitely wanted one of them because they are so strong going forward. I went for Kimmich though, because he's the only one of them really playing as a midfielder for Bayern, despite being a defender here, so he has even better chances of getting assists in my opinion. But I know Trent and Hakimi also go forward like crazy. Here, the group also played a role. Bayern for me have the easiest group out of the 3, and I'm pretty sure even Bayern will keep some clean sheets here, and Kimmich will get 2 or 3 assists for sure. Last UCL season, for example, he got 4 assists and scored a goal, recovered 35 balls. I'm going for Kimmich, any of these 3 6.5 million ones, even though they are mainstream, but should do very well. I think you should have one of them in your team. In order to not have the same team as everyone else though, my next 2 defenders are gonna be really under the radar. The first one is a guy you might remember from my Euro Fantasy team, did wonders for me there. Joachim Mele, 5 million value and only picked by 2% of the players. Atalanta's right back is one of my absolute favorite players, and I also think that their group is not that hard. They do have Man United, okay, Villarreal should be on the same level and Young Boys should be feasible. Now last season he only played the knockout stages. This will be his first full season with Atalanta. I expect some assists, and maybe even goals from him. As long as he keeps up this form that he still has from the Euros, Joachim Mähle will always have his spot in any of my fantasy teams. And defender number 3 is a guy that you might not even know. Those who watch the Bundesliga do know him for sure. Riedle Baku, selected by 0% of the players. 5.5 million. Riedle Baku doesn't even have a pick here. Germany's future right back, I would like to say. He's super flexible, can play anything from right back, right wing back, and right winger, which he often plays for Wolfsburg. So goals and assists are guaranteed when picking Riedle Baku, and we know that for defenders that is crucial. Adding to that the fact that Wolfsburg, even though they came from pot 4, are in my opinion one of the favorites to go through here. They might even top that group. Under new manager Marc von Bommel, they're doing absolutely amazing in the Bundesliga so far. I would not be surprised. First game is against French champions Lille, who I believe are nowhere near as good as they were last season. I don't expect Wolfsburg to lose that one. So now that we have the goal and defense settled, we have 7 positions left. Midfield and forwards. Midfield first. And just look at how many people are actually picking Kante. 55%. I think he's the most picked player in the game. Yes, he's pretty cheap, but I won't go for him. Instead, I'm gonna go for one of his teammates, and that will be Jorginho. 6 million and 31% have picked the guy who just won the UEFA Men's Best Player of the Year. Yes, pretty mainstream choice, and obviously he has the hype right now. That's why so many are picking him, but I genuinely believe he will do great again. Chelsea, as I already said, have a rather easy group. Jorginho should be on penalties again, and he should also start every game. I think there's no way that this guy is not worth it for 6 million. So number 1 of 4 is Jorginho, and the next player is slightly less picked. Just look at Mo Salah. He is in the midfielders, which first of all I can't understand, as he's technically a forward. He's a winger, right? So why is he in the midfielders? That is already a big plus, because his goal contributions give him more points as a midfielder. And yes, he is 10.5 million, but in my opinion that price is totally justified. Only picked by 18% of the players. In my opinion, if people were thinking rationally, this guy is playing up front at Liverpool, he will score goals and he will give assists in the group stages, guaranteed. This guy as a midfielder, I'm picking him. Just look at what he did last season. Liverpool didn't even get that far, but still scored 6 goals, gave 1 assist. Mo Salah as a midfielder, no way he's not going in my team. Now the next one is only picked by 3% of the players, and that too I cannot understand. It is Leon Goretzka. 7.5 million, 3 million cheaper than Salah. Obviously, he's not going to give the same goal contributions, but just look at the player. Scored 37 points last season, is crucial for Bayern's midfield, and he does recoveries. That's what is important about him as well. 28 balls recovered last season, gave him 8 points, gave an assist, and scored 2 goals, earned a penalty. So Leon Goretzka is always an impact maker, and I think even though he will not score as much as Salah, obviously, he's 3 million cheaper, and for that price, I'm going to pick him. Leon Goretzka, the second Bayern player making my team, and he's also playing alongside Kimmich in that midfield. So we now have Bayern's midfield pivot in our fantasy team. And midfielder number 4 is someone that is just deep down here in my heart. My guy, you might know who I mean if you've watched my previous videos. Ruslan Malinovsky, picked by 0%. I feel like I'm the only one picking Malinovsky here. 7.5 million. I'm gotta admit, he's not cheap. It's not like we picked up a bargain here, but I just can't go in this Champions League season without Ruslan Malinovsky. In Euro Fantasy for us, he did okay, but for Atalanta, he's way better than for Ukraine. At the end of last season, he was massive. And I expect him to put up similar performances this year in the Champions League as well. Why would Malinovsky not score a 30-yard screamer against Young Boys or Villarreal, maybe even Man United? This guy has a goal instinct. I expect him to get goals and assists in the group stages. How many? Not so sure, but as an offensive midfielder and as a starter for Atalanta, yeah, I'm just finding excuses to pick up Malinovsky, to be honest. No, he's seriously a top player. Trust me, guys. And if you don't, I don't mind. I'm going to be happy with 0% selected. If I'm the only one selecting Malinovsky, then I'm the only one getting his points. Top player. So, what is still missing now is our front 3 with 25.5 million euros budget left. What can we do with this money? Just like the defense, I have 1 heavily mainstream pick and 2 heavily underrated picks. So the mainstream pick, you might already be able to spot him here at the top, is no less than Erling Haaland. 51% selected him. I think he's the second most picked player in the whole game. So Haaland will obviously not set you apart of anyone else in the league, because more than half of the people have him. But there is a reason why so many people have him, and you just don't want to miss out on these points. Do I even have to introduce him? Last season, despite Dortmund's quarterfinal exit, he got 62 points. Top scorer of the competition, 10 goals scored, 2 assists, a penalty earned. And this time, as I said already with Guerreiro, I think they have a rather easy group. And Haaland, in 6 games, how many goals is he going to score on that group stage? Let me know. What do you think? Quite a lot, and that's why I'm picking him. But now, to be able to differentiate myself from the other guys playing this game, I have 2 gems that not many people have on their list. The first one is a guy that football experts will have on their list, because he's a great poacher. He's great in the air, Wout Weghorst. The Dutch striker is our second Wolfsburg player. He goes for 8 million and 0% of the people have selected him. That is a big differential. I've already told you how I rate Wolfsburg this season, and Wout Weghorst is the guy guaranteeing them goals. They don't score a ton of goals, they rather focus on the defense, but the guy who scores for them is Wout Weghorst. And I'm not even being optimistic when I say that Wout Weghorst will score 3 or 4 goals in this group stage. So now we have only 6.5 million left, and if you see that a guy like Wout Weghorst, who isn't even rated a lot by the people, is already 8. What can we still do with 6.5? Can we even get a top player anymore? Yes, we can, because that guy is under the radar. It is a German U21 player, Mergim Berisha. This man just won the U21 Euros with Germany this summer. He plays for Salzburg, 0% as well. But last season, despite Salzburg's group stage exit, he got 33 points, scored 4 goals, and gave 2 assists in just 6 group stage games. Isn't that massive for a player that no one is picking? I think so, and this season Salzburg even have better chances. They have an easier group. Last season they got Bayern and Atletico. This season they have no one that they can't beat. I'm not saying they will advance, but they will score some goals here. Salzburg are one of the most attacking teams on the planet, I would say. So Berisha getting 1 or 2 assists and 2 or 3 goals maybe is far from unrealistic. I'm feeling so happy because I feel like I've discovered this guy. I haven't, but in this game, I'm one of the only ones picking him. So these two are very, very underrated in this game. But even if they fail, then I still have the guaranteed points here in Erling Haaland. And here you have it, the Fiago 69ers, my fantasy team for the upcoming Champions League season. I'm so hyped about this one. Even more confident than I was when starting into the Euros, I have to say. Quick roundup on the bench: Agustin Marquezin, Porto goalie; Rafael Guerreiro, Dortmund's left back; then Paris Saint-Germain's left back, Juan Bernat, hope he gets fit in time; and Bakayoko, who is transferring to Milan and will play. Then the starting 11: Chelsea's goalie Edouard Mendy; in the back 3, Joshua Kimmich, Joachim Merle, and Riedle Baku. The 4-man midfield consists of Jorginho, Mo Salah, Leon Goretzka, and Ruslan Malinovsky. And then the front 3: Erling Haaland, the mainstream pick, but guarantees points alongside the 2 under-the-radar strikers, Wout Weghorst and Mergim Berisha. Mendy is currently selected as our captain, and those are the Fiago 69ers. Now that you've seen my team, let me know your feedback down in the comments. How does your 15-man starting squad look like? And last but not least, I promised you, our FBArmy Fantasy League is back. Since it's both UEFA, it was actually possible for me to take our 8,000 plus members Euro Fantasy League and simply reactivate it for the Champions League season. It's the exact same league. So for all of you who were in that league and played Euro Fantasy, if you now play Champions League Fantasy with the same UEFA account, then you will be immediately in our FBArmy League again. But in case that doesn't work for you, or you weren't even in our Euro Fantasy League in the first place, then just click the join link right here, first link in the description. I've put it here for you. Or you could just enter this join code right here and you will also be in our FBArmy League once again. There will be cash prizes once again, just like for the Euro, paid out of my pocket. First place gets 250 euros, second place 150 euros, and third place still gets 100 euros. Oh, and place 69th also gets 69 euros. So I'm hyped to see you in the league. I will give you regular updates on this. And in the meantime, Fantasy Fiago is out, and peace.